Our podcast is a part of the World Podcast Network, now with over 1,000 podcasts. Visit the World Podcast Network at worldpodcast.network to listen to podcasts in over 12 genres. Come vote our podcast episodes up and help us rise on the leaderboard. If you have a podcast of your own, you can join for free. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I am Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing the final 3 episodes of B90 prior to the tell-all. So, before we get into it, we're going to do some hot gossip. We're going to have a couple very quick announcements. So following this episode, at some point either today or tomorrow, you're going to be getting a special announcement episode. So look out for that. Following episodes after that, you will get like the short version of the announcement. So just look out for that. And following this episode as well, we'll be getting into the Last Resort episodes. So that will be following and then, doing the catch up, and then we'll look out there. So that's basically it. Just again, like I said, quick announcements. Let's jump into the hot goss. So in case you're interested, for those people who do watch Selling Sunset, Bree has kind of come forward describing her love life with Nick. For those people who are haters like Chelsea. And she describes it as the most healthiest relationship that she's ever been in. That's incredible. So Bree clarified, this was on December 11th episode of the Wednesdays podcast, that she and Nick, who share their 2-year-old son, Legendary, are still going strong despite people being confused about their relationship status. Saying, quote, "I'd like to be very clear. We don't co-parent. We are very much together. And that's why people are confused. Me and my partner have been on and off for years. Basically, he has other partners and we're just open and happy, and that's our thing. People call it all kinds of shit. I call it, I do what I want to do." Bree added that she's not a jealous person and ultimately doesn't want a conventional relationship, which is good for her. She said, "I don't want a full live-in person I'm responsible for. Like I'm responsible for my child. I feel like this is probably, which is so crazy, the healthiest relationship I've ever had. We never fight. We never have any toxicity. We don't argue. Nothing." Bree refers to Nick as the best dad, who is so present with their son Legendary, who in turn is obsessed with his father. She also clarified their living situation, explaining that they both work and travel a lot and have set nights for yoga, weekends for sports, and that Nick is very involved. Saying the people he doesn't deal with don't necessarily want or need him around, but I feel like anyone that chooses that or wants that, he's happy to do that. He obviously understands the situation that we're in, so he's really good at doing just what makes everybody happy. Back in July, Bree spoke with ET, Entertainment Tonight, about Nick's ability to split time between his 12 children, saying he manages it really well. I feel like that's why no one ever hears anything, because we're all happy. We all make it work. He's such a good person, genuinely, and he really cares, and he does want to be there, and he's never going to blow anything off. It makes it easier when you're doing things because you know he's going to make the effort and he's going to show up. So that's that. Let's move on to the next piece of hot goss. This is Love is Blind related. Ayana, she's engaged. So the Love is Blind star shared the news on Instagram on December 17th, writing, "A weekend of surprises, wonder, and happy cries. Something sparkly, something special, someone forever." Her post featured 5 photos from her engagement weekend. In the final image, she smiles lovingly at her fiancé, whose name she has never revealed, while suspended in the air in his arms with her right foot propped up. Based on her pictures, the proposal appears to have taken place at the Civic Opera Building in Chicago. Ayana wore the Villanelle mini dress, whatever that is, from Baby Boo Fashion for the special occasion. The long sleeve black dress, which retails for $138, has a plush fox fur trimmed neckline and cuffs and a playful bubble-shaped skirt. She styled the look with sheer black tights and black stilettos. Her fiancé matched her by wearing a short sleeve black shirt, dark gray trousers, and black dress shoes. Several Netflix stars congratulated the newly engaged couple in the comment section. Mallory, who was from the same season, said congratulations. The Circle and Perfect Match alum Xanthi wrote, "You look stunning. Oh, all of the love. I feel it. Thank you, everyone." That's what Ayana wrote. People has reached out to Ayana for comment. So in case you were like me and didn't even know she was in a relationship, Ayana began publicly posting on social media with her fiance earlier this year, but has kept his identity secret, as mentioned. She doesn't take him in her photos, and he remains mostly hidden in her content. In a post from November, the mystery man crouched behind Ayana as he took a mirror selfie with only the top of his head visible. In a video from October, his face is entirely covered by a mask. As we kind of know, unless in case anyone doesn't really know the details, because I actually didn't know all the details, Ayana officially filed for divorce from Jarrett through the Circuit Court of Cook County on September 23rd, 2023. According to documents viewed by People, the divorce was finalized in November of 2022. Well, this is 2023. That does make sense. At the time, Jarrett issued a statement to People saying, "Of the news, my divorce with Ayana is finalized as of today. We'll remain friends, and I'll continue to wish her nothing but the very best. Thank you, everyone, for your continued support and understanding throughout this entire process." So I do have a picture. I mean, even though she doesn't announce who he is, I mean, you can kind of see him. I mean, so anyway, that's that. The last piece, sorry, not second, the last piece of podcast, which is also an engagement related thing, is about a show that I don't cover, but I definitely watch. And I think I've talked about periodically throughout the episodes. Lydia Plath is engaged, y'all, and I got photos and I'm going to post. She's freaking engaged. So Lydia, who's 20, said yes to fiancé Zach Wise, spelled W-Y-S-E, in a surprise proposal over the weekend. The couple exclusively confirmed to People. Describing the emotional occasion, Lydia says, "The moment we were in each other's arms, we were overwhelmed with all the emotions that led us to this moment where all we could feel was pure joy for the commitment we were about to make. The pair cited the Bible verse." I'm just not even going to bother. The engagement comes after Lydia, who appears on the TLC reality series alongside her parents and siblings, debuted her relationship with Wise on Instagram last month. So in November. That's last month. November. Not December. November. Okay, I don't know how long they've been together, but it's probably not much before that. Alongside a series of photos of the pair posing together against a scenic mountain backdrop, she expressed her gratitude that she found and connected with her then boyfriend. Quote, "Words can't describe how grateful I am. The Lord has brought you into my life," with the heart emoji. And this was written on November 21st. You never cease to amaze me with the adventures we go on, supporting me in every high and low, and overflowing every moment with joy as we pursue the Lord together. My love, Zach Wise. Wise shared several of the photos on his own Instagram page, along with a heartfelt message for Lydia. saying, quote, "Life is full of adventures, but I can't help but want to spend the rest of my life with you. So grateful for what the Lord has given me." Psalms 31:30. Prior to officially introducing him to her followers, Lydia teased the relationship in an Instagram post on October 3rd, which happened to be National Boyfriend Day, by sharing a close-up of the couple's hands. Why does it have to be a day for everything? Jesus, why? Happy National Boyfriend Day. She wrote in the caption, "You're a blessing from the Lord and have brought so much joy into my life. I can't wait to see what the future holds." I guess the prayer closet worked. Um, but yeah, that is basically it. That's the end of hot goss. I will have another Plath related hot goss for another episode, but we'll hold off on that for now. But let's get into the reason that we are here. We're doing another B90 roundup covering episodes 17, 18, and 19. I think it'll be pretty easy that this time around we can go couple by couple, then go episode by episode from that point. And obviously all over the place like it was in the last episode. But let's get into it. So we're with Vanya. So she is seeing Josko again. She tells him that I have been celibate now for about 6 years. And he's like completely? Like even with yourself? Now, I guess technically celibate means you're not even doing anything at all. I guess. But she's abstained, I guess is maybe the right thing to say, abstained from sex the past 6 years. And she says, sex is a very special thing for her to give to a person. So she needs that emotional connection before she does have sex with someone. She doesn't want to just give it to anyone. And then they go back to her place and maybe sex will happen. Maybe. Well, last night, the next day, the night before was fabulous. They said, she's like, "I didn't sleep all night, because of your snoring." No, y'all, they did not have sex. And he just hopes that she is not afraid of the whole package. Now, he was referring to his son. I personally think kind of he was referring to his actual package because, my God. So they are going on a hike and he is looking at her ass because he likes her butt. And he brings up his foster son at this point and kind of, guys are trying to gauge like how she would be with the idea of potentially being a mom to a son. And she says, it's scary because of a past relationship. So she mentions that the person she was engaged to, where that relationship came to an end, he had a daughter. She's in this child's life. And then when the relationship ended, the relationship with the daughter also ended, which that leaves a gaping hole. And that's something like, I've not been in a situation like that, where you've invested so much time in a child, um, that, you feel that gaping hole. But I do remember kind of thinking about that with Winter, Chantel's sister, when her and Ja broke up. Like, she practically raised this kid. And this asshole was like, "No, you can't see. You can't see the kid." Like, 'cause he's an asshole. So, yeah, so she kind of struggles with that. Um, and she just worries about everyone being hurt in the process. And she also says, which I think is a very valid thing to say, is, what if I'm not going to be a good mom? Because she doesn't have the motherly instincts because she's been a single person for, well, all her life. She doesn't have to worry about a child. So it's normal. And I think even when you haven't, when you become a mom, I think that's a fear, we all kind of deal with is, am I going to be a good mom? And she says, like, I've built up my life. I have all of these different things. She has 4 jobs and whatnot. And she says, what if I don't have enough to give? And he says, I already know that you are the one for me and that you will have enough to give. And I do think you'll be enough for him. And she's like, honestly, I kid you not. When I saw this episode the first time and he's saying all of this, and I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute, it's only been a day. And I'm watching this and I'm seeing him say this to her, and I'm like, what? And without even a second after that, she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you see? So I'm not crazy. Because I'm like, how did we get here so quickly? Now I know European men can move quickly, but whoa. Um, and he says, I want you in my life. So we'll see where that goes. So they then talk about the future plans, and we go to this golden toast structure or statue thing where apparently, like, you touch the toe and you make a wish and your wish will come true. So that's what they do, and they decide that they're going to try the long distance thing. Um, so he's her boyfriend officially. And then they go back to her place, and maybe tonight's the night. Maybe this time they'll have sex. Well then, episode 18, not much with episode 18 with them. They did not have sex again. And she says, it kind of felt wrong to have sex, when it's the last night and they have this such emotional conversation the day before. And I'm thinking, but you're not going to see him for God knows how long. Get it in. That's what I would do. But I'm different. I know this. So they're heading to the airport. She's going home. Later on, we know she's back home now, and she's going to have a beach day with her cousin, Sanella. I think I got her name right. And she says she's been back home now for about 2 months. And she kind of fills us in on the last couple of months. So after a few weeks of her being home, them talking long distance, Josko missed her so damn much that he booked a ticket and went to Florida for 10 days. They, they were talking about the future plans and everything. And guess what, y'all? Josko broke that 6-year streak. Yeah. And finally, Jesus Christ. And the producer's like, congratulations. She's like, thank you. Congratulations, you got sexed. Jeez. That was funny. But then she says, with all of that, kind of what happens next is going to be really shocking. She gets to Sanella on the beach and the tears just start flowing. So she fills her in on all of the stuff that's happened with the visit. Everything was great. Then all of a sudden, when he got home, they had a routine of talking to each other in the morning and at night. And he just kind of started not calling her. And she kind of said to him, or kind of said, like, can we try to keep our communication consistent? Because it's important to keep that consistent when you're in a long distance relationship. His response back to her, oh, you're being too needy. Click. He hung up on her. What? I thought this was the person who was like, you're it for me. You're gonna be like in my life, and you're perfect for me and my son. What the hell happened? Like, what? Then 5 days goes by, and she kind of says, like, we need to talk, and they talk, and he's like, listen, I just don't think, like, you're the one for me because you don't have that motherly instinct, and I have a child. And this all happened within 2 weeks after him going back to Croatia. And you're just like, what the fuck? And again, we're kind of getting this again out of context. I think we'll get a little more information. We do get a little more information after this, but it's like when you're hearing this initially, it's like, how dare you say that to a woman who we don't know her situation? Maybe she wanted to have kids and this didn't happen for her, or maybe she didn't want to have kids or whatever. And you're saying to a person, oh, you just don't have the motherly instinct. Now, I think most of us, some of us potentially maybe don't have the motherly instinct or the instinct to want to take care of a child full time and all that, right? But I think a lot of us, and I'm not just saying women, I'm just saying anyone in general, I think a lot of us have the instinct to the instinct isn't just about raising a child full time. It's also just having the instinct of loving and caring for a child, no matter what that looks like. So for you to come in and say, oh, you just don't have that motherly instinct, what the fuck? Like, it's, that's so mean to say to somebody, especially not knowing the situation as to why she doesn't have a child. Whatever that reason may be, maybe he knows and he feel comfortable saying that. Maybe she's again, that's more so she didn't want to have kids. But like it's just how dare you? Really? Again, this is completely out of context at this point. So we'll kind of get to that. Um so she kind of says, I feel like I kind of know where this came from. She thinks it was because they had a conversation about each other's fears. And in that moment, she felt comfortable to kind of speak her fears to him. And those fears kind of surrounded being a mother to his child, kind of, having to change things, change her life. And she's comfortable in her life. And I think that is normal, especially as a person who's 41, you're kind of set in your ways at that point, right? So she says that I don't know what to do because like I was planning to go to Croatia to meet his family and his son. So like now I don't know what to do. So the consensus is basically we'll go talk to him and see where his head's at. So then in the next scene we kind of see her belly dancing, which she looks great. And when she's done, she's like, okay, well, it's like we're having a conversation. And initially it's really awkward. They're just kind of staring at each other. But then he says, you look amazing. Were you just dancing? Apparently he did see her dance when he was there. And she kind of says, I miss having these phone calls with you. And he says, I miss the phone calls too. And he acknowledges too that, maybe my approach with the breakup was harsh. And he explains it was, it might have felt sudden for you, but for me, coming back home, seeing my child's been crying after me and I'm not here, like it was really tough on him. So I understand that. Um, and he's like, I just felt guilty. He had dad guilt. And he, she says, well, I wish you would have talked to me and communicated that with me instead of making a decision for both of us. And he says, well, that's where you're wrong. I didn't make the decision for both of us. I made the decision for him, which, at least like if he sucks being a boyfriend, it does look like he's a great dad. Um, so he also says that this part that I think there's some truth in what he's saying, and I think there's some truth in what she is saying as well. I think the truth, they're both being truthful. But they're just not maybe understanding each other. So he says that she was kind of saying things like, oh, I don't really want kids running around in the house. I don't want them making a mess and all of this. And, um, which isn't great. And I can understand from his perspective how that comes across. But she says, yeah, but I also said that I was going to be willing to change my dance room into a room for him to put a crib in so he has his own space. Like she's basically trying to say I was making space for him. Um so yeah, she may have said that And I can understand how, like, she's taking that, like, yeah, I said that, but I can also see what he's saying is, yes, you said that, but you also said this. So what do I, like, do I take that risk that you have those instincts and you have not only the instincts, but the patience to deal with a child? Because this child is only 1 year old. It gets worse. Like, you know what I mean? So, um, she does bring up the trip to Croatia and kind of saying, like, what do I do here? Here's my thing. Do not leave the ball in his court. The ball is in your court. If you are not satisfied by what he is saying, then say, you know what? I'm really glad we had this conversation. I think we're going to leave this here. We can't solve this today, so we're going to leave this here. Instead of putting the ball in his court, he broke it up. He broke it off with you. So how is the ball still in his court? The ball's in yours. And I just don't know where this comes from. If it's because she's tired of being alone and she wants to find her happily ever after. And I understand all of that. But girl, do not leave the ball in his court. The ball is in yours. And guess what? This doesn't, it probably doesn't based on what I see in the tell-all, but it doesn't look like this works out with them. She is set for single life. She is set for single life. So yeah, she says, like, do you want me to come? Blah, blah, blah. And he says, you know what? Give me a couple of days to think about it and I'll get back to you. So we'll see kind of where that goes. But that is the end of Vanya for this season. That was 19, which is the end of the season for her. Like I said, I don't think it's gonna work out for her. With him, unfortunately, and there was hope, but I don't think it's gonna work out with him. And I do think we should see her on single life. But that's it for Vanya. Let's move on. Let's go to Niles and Matilda. So I think we only have them for 18 and 19. So let's get into it. So episode 18. It's the knocking and it's the wedding time. We're here. We're at it. And we see her with her family, him with Mr. Ark. Her dress was beautiful, y'all. I really liked her dress. And Mr. Ark comes in with the money, split it up all and everything. Here goes, this person goes to this person, this person goes to this person, and they're like, so, you know, you have to behave as a married man. This is a traditional wedding, or a traditional marriage. So there are things in Africa that we just don't do. And we sex a woman through the vagina. We do not sex a woman through the anus. I know this may be how you do things in America, but that's just not how we do things here in Africa. And I said, is that so? Because I didn't get that memo. Let's just say this. No one knows who my boyfriend is, so we're not going to be putting him on blast or anything. We're not going to say his name or whatever. But that man has been trying to do anal with me since I met him. What are you talking about? African men do anal too, Mr. Ark. Listen, that's hilarious. I know it's how you do things. We don't do things like that here. Listen, the tighter the hole, that's all men think about. Doesn't matter if you're in Africa, Asia, America, the Caribbean, doesn't matter. It's tighter the hole. That's all that matters to them. What? But this conversation, first of all, I saw this first because Letitia had actually sent it to me through Instagram, and I'm just like, what? I didn't get that memo. She's like, neither did I. Because she also has been with African men too. She's like, neither have I. Like, it's just, Shermer's dark. It was hilarious. He's like, good God. So we get to Matilda's house, and the knocking is now in process. It's begun. You can tell he's actually very overwhelmed by everything because of the loud no like sounds and all the people. So he is overwhelmed. His sensory has gone through the roof. But listen, as soon as he sees her, he just lights up. I love that. And she has to accept the gifts, which she does. Or the bride price, she accepts it. She has to do that. And they're like, "Is this woman the one you intend to marry?" And he just looks right at her. He's like, "She is the one." I love it. And they're married now. And poor girl, listen, she is struggling in her dress. She can't breathe. She's like, "I need to get this corset off." It's like she can't breathe. And they get to the hotel, and she's like, "I can't wait to get this corset off." And or he says, she can't wait to get out of this dress. And he's like, "There's one way we can get out of that dress." And I'm like, damn. And they get into the room, and the camera crew's like trying to come, and he's like, "No, no, 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 no. That it's not that type of show. You don't have to go home, but you can't come in here." So, yeah. Episode 19. So it's the morning after, and she enjoyed last night. They had sex, and it looks like they had a lot of it. And she's like, "I want to go again." And I said, words I feel like everyone has uttered. And, but yeah, so he's like, "No one, and I mean no one, shine a black light in that room." All I can picture right now is Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura. "Do not go in there." Woo! That is all I'm picturing in my head right now. Ah, I love Jim Carrey. Anyways, um, so we see this traditional African dancing. I can't remember what they called it, but I heard them say something about Ashanti, not the singer. And it was really cool to see. Like, seriously, I think one of the coolest things for me is seeing the different types of dancing in different African cultures. And we see that with Veah and Sunny with the Zulu dancing, which I've definitely seen before because it's actually my boyfriend. I think he's from that tribe, and he's shown me it before, and it's so interesting. So it's that's probably one of the best parts, I think, for me, because I do also love dancing. But they go after and talk, and he is going to be starting a new job in 2 weeks after he gets back home. Congratulations, Niles. And he says it is a similar job to what he was doing before, which is a peer advocate. And she says, we haven't had a lot of time to talk about it because, busy with the wedding. But she does ask him, like, why did your boss fire you? And he said, "I didn't get a reason." He says, in Alabama, it is an at-will state, so they can fire you for any reason at all, and they don't have to tell you why. She doesn't understand that, but I maybe can understand why she doesn't understand that. And I also just don't understand that because I'm like, I don't understand how, like, you can just fire someone, especially after they've been there for a certain amount of, like, after 3 months or whatever your probationary period is, you're entitled to a reason. So I just don't understand that either from my own peace of mind. But again, it's just a way to protect the employer. And that's a problem. But I also understand when he's saying, they don't need to give me a reason. And again, it's just a way to protect the employers. So she also says, like, maybe the reason she doesn't understand what he's saying or doesn't get how, like, that can even happen is because of the fact that he's lied, and she struggles with that. And he says, "Listen, I lied because I was afraid." And she says, like, "Am I a lion?" Like, am I terrifying? Like, why are you scared of me? And I don't think it's anything to do with her, but just society not accepting him, and he doesn't know she's going to be the same way. So he's like, I was just afraid that maybe you wouldn't think I'm man enough. And I'm like, oh my God. But she is great in this moment and just says, like, she's going to support him through everything. And that's what you do as a wife. And, very sweet. How did, shame on you and me that I thought this girl was going to be like using him. Shame on us. Niles is going to be going home today. They pray, and their goodbye, I'm telling you right now, their goodbye was so emotional for me. I was trying to hold back tears. Um, I've never really cried to a goodbye before because I'm like, I don't care for those people, but them, like maybe Sheila and David too, but I was just like, oh, and when she got to the part that really did it for me, and I just started bawling because I've also had to do airport goodbye. Um, but when she says to him, or says to the camera, who's gonna do the squishy squishy? No one's gonna do the squishy squishy. And it made me cry because I'm like, well, for me and my now ex-husband, I was like, the thing for me that I loved and cherished and constantly needed was forehead kisses. That was a thing me and him did. I had never had that with anyone else. It was just him. And that's how I felt too. I remember thinking to myself, who's going to do that? No one's going to do that. This is going to be him, and he's not here to do that. So I definitely got very emotional with their goodbye. Um, I hope they get her to the States. Let them be happy. And then let them be on Happily Ever After. We need a revamp of Happily Ever After, I'm telling you. Anyway. But yeah, that's a wrap on Niles and Matilda. Again, I listen, y'all, listen. We'll talk about it at the end more, but when my guy was ready to throw hands at Adnan, I'm like, fight him, fight him. So we'll talk about it at the end. But yeah, I hope to see them again and Happily Ever After for sure. It'll be great. But anyways, that is a wrap on Niles and Matilda. Let's move on. All right, next we got Tigerlily and Adnan. So let's go into episode 17. So she's leaving tomorrow, and she's like, what happens if, like, I don't, like, get like, a family? Like, what if I don't get pregnant? And he's like, well, keep trying, but, in my religion, you can't get married with, 2 wives or 3 wives or 4 wives. And she's like, no, just, no. And she's like, I will kill you. In my mind, I'm thinking of how I will kill you. Will I strangle you? Or will I drown you? How would you like to die, honey? It's like, wait, I thought he was potentially going to be the serial killer and you'll be fine. You'll still love him because, like, he's my husband and I love him. But, like, how do you want me to kill you? How do you want to die? Which, first of all, I have said before, how would you like me to kill you? You get the choice. Dealer's choice. How do you want to die? So I thought that was hilarious. How do you want to die? Oh my God. So he explains though, like, I don't want that. His father actually had another wife that his mother did not accept, and I guess he just did it because you can, by the way, you can get another wife without telling your original wife that you have another wife or want another wife, and they got divorced. And he says, with everything that was kind of going on there, dad wasn't around and he didn't have time for his family, and he does not want to do that with his family. And he says, and I only want you. Nice to know that was a second thought. 2 weeks after coming home, she's been feeling some abdominal pain. And again, first time I watched this episode, I'm like, oh, girl, you just have your period coming. Whatever. My abdominal always hurts. What are you talking about? But then she's like, I got a test that apparently detects early pregnancy. It's very sensitive. So she does the test. Now we wait. Count down 3, 2, and 1. And then she goes and she looks at the test. And listen, I should have taken a picture. When I saw her show that pregnancy test and it said yes, my mouth dropped. I'm like, oh my God, she's pregnant. She's actually pregnant. And she's obviously very emotional. Apparently he was like calling her as she's filming this. And she's like, I can't talk to him yet. He's obviously going to know. So she's like, I want to tell him in person. So she's gonna, figure that out. And she ends this off by saying, how am I gonna fit another car seat in my Lamborghini? I'm gonna need a bigger car. The fuck? No, again, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be preaching to the choir here or what. And again, watching this is kind of like you kind of go back and forth with your feelings here. And it's like, on the one hand, I'm happy for her that she is getting what she wants and this is what she wants. And you're happy for her, But then when you see this, it's like, oh, so it's just as easy as you timing when you're going to ovulate and then you just go fuck for a lot and then you get pregnant. Meanwhile, there's people like me who has been trying to get pregnant, for however long. Sorry about that. I had to take a pause. But yeah, just kind of seeing her like be able to get pregnant so quickly, it's like you're happy for her, but at the same time, it's just real frustrating for others. Anyway, that's basically that for that episode. The final episode, episode 19. So Tigerlily basically yells at Cruz and Shay, how are my favorite swingers? They were probably swingers at some point. So she's currently in her second trimester, and she tells us how she flew out to Jordan to go tell him, and she was going to be surprising him with a necklace that said baby on it. And I'm like, but when it comes to you guys, that could mean anything. That doesn't necessarily mean a baby. But we kind of see the video of when she tells him, and that's sweet. And they bought a house. It's currently being renovated, and her kids are currently living out of hotels currently, because the lease on her apartment was up. So she kind of tells Shay and Cruz that their relationship hasn't been great lately. She doesn't know if maybe Ramadan is the thing to blame because he's hangry, but they've been getting into arguments every other day. And she says, so here's the thing. Number one, he wants to keep his apartment in Jordan. And I don't understand why. Because if you're moving here, why do you need the apartment in Jordan? I don't understand. Are you having a safety net, 1 foot there and 1 foot here? What's going on? Oh, but there's even a bigger situation. The bigger situation is that he made Tahir his power of attorney. So basically he'll be able to do everything in his name. He can get a loan in his name, and then that affects me. I don't want him coming for my bitch burn, he'll come for my money. But basically that's it. And I just wait a minute. Why does this 22-year-old man need a power of attorney? And he will kind of explain there's a lot of different things going on that would be easier for him to have power of attorney so he can do things on his behalf. But you already want to be in and out of Jordan anyway, so why can't you just do your own shit? Why do you need him to be a power of attorney? It is suspicious. Okay. So she currently has a lawyer drafting a postnup, because they're like, you should have gotten that damn prenup, girl. What's wrong with you? And she's like, it just feels icky to protect myself from my husband. Like, he's my husband. I shouldn't have to protect myself from him. And I'm just like, wait, you do need to protect yourself from your husband. You can't trust people. You trust no one. It doesn't matter who he is. Now, this part I'm going off memory because I didn't actually finish the episode for notes purposes, but I did watch it, so I can kind of go off here. So she calls him on video chat in the last bit and kind of says to him, like, I don't like that you're keeping your apartment in Jordan because, like, it kind of feels like you're not going to be, like, here. Like, I feel like you're going to go, like, there all the time. Now, he could do Airbnb. That's a smart idea. He could make that an income's property when he's not there. It's a perfect idea. But then, like, you want to, like, have your brother be your power of attorney, and, like, what if he, like, tries to take all of my money, and then you can just fuck off back to Jordan and with all my money, and I'm left with the kids. Girl, he can also take the kid. You're just left with the 2 kids you had. That's all I'm saying. Like, no one's talking about the kid. We all watch Not Without My Daughter, right? I'm just saying. So, jokes aside, though, this actually happens. So they're having this thing, but he kind of says, I'm not going to be with someone who doesn't trust me. And when she brings up, I have my lawyer drafting a post-nup, and he's like, I'm not going to sign anything. I'm not going to go to the interview if you're going to have your lawyer send me anything. And I'm just like, okay, well then here's what I would say. Stay there. I'll take care of these kids. I can do it anyways. I don't need you. Either you're going to come because you actually love me and you respect my thoughts and feelings, or you can just stay there. But take your pick. Like, seriously. Anyway, that's it for Tigerlily and Adnan for the season. Now, with what we're about to see with this tell-all, I can stand Tigerlily. Adnan is an asshole. He's gross. He's coming in here acting like he is the end-all be-all. Sir, sit the fuck down. You're 22 years old. You need to sit down and shut up. Okay? And I think he could really blow their chances for being on anything going further. Or it brings in the ratings and we have another Angela and Michael situation on our hands. Not as bad, but close enough. We'll see. But yes, that is it for them. I wasn't planning on taking a break, but I am going to be taking a break for now. And when we come back, we'll be finishing up with Magda and Joe, Veah and Sunny, and Loren and Faith. Ugh. And I think that'll be it. Because I think we're split down the middle completely. It was but 3 and 3, I believe. Yep. So that's basically that. Magda and Joe, Veah and Sunny, and Loren and Faith. And yeah, so I will be back in just a little bit. And I am back, like a million days later. Okay, so let's get into it. So, Joe and Magda. So, Joe is meeting Magda's mom today. And this meeting is probably not going to go well because it is doomed before it has even begun. We'll get into that in a minute. So we are giving her some flowers and some sweets because apparently her mom is a sweet tooth or has a sweet tooth, and it's awkward silence once all of that has been exchanged and no one's saying much of anything. But then her mom's kind of, trying to start the conversation. How do you feel about my daughter? And he says, she's strong, she's beautiful, she's gonna kill me. Um, and she then says to Magda, tell him I know about the situation of the cheating. And Magda tells him, and he says, well, like, why would you tell her that? Like, why would you tell her something like that if you want her to like me? Thank you. A very, very good point to make. You don't tell someone something, especially a mother, you don't tell someone something negative about the person right off the bat before they even met, because you have already ruined the chances of this person liking them. And Magda's response back to this is, oh, well, I tell her everything because she's my best friend. No, ma'am, no. Listen, I'm all about you being friends with your parents and everything. That's fine. And I think that can be healthy. But when it gets to an unhealthy point where you're treating this person as, at the end of the day, yes, you might be best friends, but she's still your mother. So she is obviously, well, even a best friend, she's obviously going to have an issue with the fact that this man has cheated on my daughter and I don't like him even before I've met him. You've set this whole thing up to not even work out. And what happens if your best friend, aka your mom, doesn't like him? You're not gonna, are you still gonna be with him? Like if the result isn't going to change and you're still going to be with this person, then why tell you the person, your friend or whoever, your parent, the negative situation? Because if you're not going to change the fact that you want to be with him and all of this, then don't tell them the negative shit. I'm sorry, just don't do it. And I know, like, this is something we learned throughout. She's 23. She's young. At 23, I was probably telling all my business to everybody. And trust me, not even, I think I was. Okay. My ex-husband and I did not see eye to eye on certain things because I would tell everybody everything. And he's like, can you stop? That's something you learn throughout. So, she's not there yet, but I don't know if she'll ever be there. Seriously, we kind of look at, if we want to see how problematic it can be to tell, especially your family, if you are close, everything. I give you Exhibit A, Chantel and Pedro. Anyways, so her mom basically then says after that, well, what if he gets bored of you? What? Oh, okay, okay. With what we know about her dad, um, and the things that I think dad definitely cheated on her mom. And I wonder if it's gnarly, but I think we can kind of put two and two together and at least say that. Just because it happened to you, ma'am, does not mean it's gonna happen to her. You can't put your shit and the fact you hate men, which I get it, onto your daughter. What if he gets bored of you? I feel like that doesn't usually happen. Hell, even if a man does cheat and whatever, which, yeah, they don't necessarily get bored of you. They just are an idiot and want to have their cake and eat it too, but not bored. I don't know, man. Anyway, he says that he would never. And he's like, I love and care for your daughter, and I do want to marry her. I'm sorry if you can hear my bird playing. He has these new balls in his cage that they spin and they make noise, and he loves it. Anyways, hopefully I can cut that out, but it might have potentially happened at the same time. Anyway, so and her mom says, I'm glad that he feels that way. And that is acceptable. So I guess mom is okay with him. So that's great. Next, episode 18 for them. We're going to this cute little place that's I don't remember where exactly they were, but this is the place with the hot tub situation. Which the hot tub, um, it heats up the old school way. You have to put like wood into the fire and then it heats up, which I feel like that that's not, it clearly didn't work. I feel like that's not gonna work. Anyway, so they're in the hot tub and, talking and all's good in the world. So good, in fact, that they had sex, y'all. Woo! And apparently it was great. Great. She says, but now you have to love me forever because I've given you everything. So now you have to love me forever. And I'm just like, if you break up with her, she is going to murder you. She will. She will. Um, and then he is going to tell her the bad news, the news that he's been holding on to. And he says, so Jill, my friend Jill, he's like, we've been friends for about 15 years. So there was clearly a history prior to them dating. And then, for 15 years. And he's like, we dated for a short time, but, we broke up and remained friends. So she obviously isn't happy. She's pissed. She says, I asked you if you had a past with any of your friends and you told me no. So he lied to her. And that's a problem. Because the thing is, it's like, I thought maybe he just never mentioned it to her. No, she legitimately asked him the question and he proceeded to lie. And then what? You're going to have to say, oh, by the way, that sir was a lie? What are you? It, you could have just told her then and there. It would have made that so much easier once, like you could have just gotten that over with. I I just don't understand choices here. And she's like, I feel like you're hiding things from me. And he's like, well, you could be friends with her. He's like, I will not be friends with her. You won't even be friends with her. Okay. And which is like, I mean, I get her being angry, but it's 15 years. Like, especially if it's been strictly platonic for, 14 of those years. Like, or let's say 13 of those years. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Um, and she's like, because you lied. She's like, I feel like a piece of shit. She's like, I had sex with you and then you tell me this, which that I understand as well. And then she says a line that I think is probably one of the funniest lines I think I've ever heard. She's like, I'm going to take your eyes and hers too and eat them. And I'm just like, holy shit. She's going to kill him. She's going to kill him. And eat his eyes after. That's what's going to happen. That is just great. So episode 19, she is still not talking to him. It's the next day. She's still not talking to him. Um, and they do eventually talk about the Jill situation, and she says that she, for her, it's the lie that's the situation. She says like, I realize I, overreacted and I apologize about that, but like, it's the lie. Not so much that you're friends with an ex, but it's the lie. And he says that it was a bad judgment call, that he should have been honest with her. And he's like, I'm sorry. And she says, give me, time to process. Basically, I guess she'll be fine. And she says, I would like for you to refrain from seeing her face to face for the time being. Like, it won't be forever, but just for now. You can still talk to her on the phone, though. Like, I'm not saying you have to stop communication, but this, I guess, is just something for her to, come to terms with, which I don't think that's a crazy request. Um, Usually I would say it is, but I don't think it's a bad request because it's compromise. She's like, you can still talk to her. I would just like for you to not be face to face with her. Now, I do have a question though. What if it's in a group setting? Is that okay? Because you can't, because clearly they are a group of friends who've been friends forever long. And like, if they're in a group setting, you can't say, oh, Jill, you can't come because Joe's going to be there. You know what I mean? But maybe it's like, you know, just alone, maybe. I don't know. But I don't think that's a crazy request for now. So she says this will be the last chance, so don't fuck it up, basically. Then we go to some sheep. Bah. And he tells her that he said, I can't wait to be with you. And to obviously get to that point, but he says, I am not going to propose yet. I want to hold off on the proposal because he wants her to meet his friends and his family. I guess he just kind of feel, you know what? Again, not a crazy request. I think that makes sense. If it was important to him to meet her friends and family, then obviously it's going to be very important to him for her to meet his friends and family. And again, let's remember he seems to be a very close-knit Italian family that he has going on. So, um, I think that's a very reasonable thing to say. Um, and she seems okay with that. She's still gonna go to the States. And yeah, except you're gonna do it right. You're doing it. You gotta make sure you actually do it. Don't fuck around and find out. You're gonna actually do it. You better do it. So I guess we'll see. He's going home, and that's it for Joe and Magda. Um, I think because of her too, I think we are definitely going to see them again. Um, Depending on what we get out of the tell-all, if we do get the um like a look into kind of what happened once you went to the States and how that all went with the family and friends. Like, are they, because again, we have seen it before. We have seen, well, I guess I was technically on the other way, but, the other way with, I can't remember their names, but, that was the one where she was from Holland and he basically broke up with her. Oh, what was that guy's name? He was a guy, his mom was from the Dominican Republic. I think he was too. And then, yeah, I can't remember their names though. Really liked her, really didn't like him. Um, but we had her in the States, even though it's supposed to be the other way, which by the way, y'all, we never did in their storyline go the other way. Um, but, um, we could potentially see that in like before the 90, where usually it's them going there. Um, but yeah, I think it's potential like we could see them again on either B90 or on 90 Day Fiance. I think it can go either way. And I do think we have 90 Day Fiance coming up very soon. And the thing is we're heading into a tell-all with no explanation as to who is going to be on 90 Day Fiance. So I am curious if that is going to be them and they just haven't said anything yet because we don't even know if they're still together. Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. Hell, I think you and Veah and Sunny, but we haven't gone to them yet, so that's it for them. Let's go to Veah and Sunny. So, episode 17, they are going to Drakenberg. And it is gorgeous. The monkeys, the greenery, everything. It's just, South Africa is beautiful. Beautiful. Anyway, so yeah, she seems to really love the monkeys. And then we're going to be doing the South African Zulu dancing, which I think I did talk about before, or maybe I didn't, I can't remember now, but um briefly, I think, because we saw someone else dancing. And I think like I've seen this before and it's so cool. And of course they bring both Sunny and Veah up to join in with the dancing, and she looks like she's having a lot of fun. So I think that's important. 4 hours later, they're having dinner, and this is when Sunny, for me, when this happened, this particular conversation with Sunny, I'm like, I'm out on him. I'm out on him. He is an asshole. He doesn't know what he wants from what he doesn't. And I'm over him. And I think this is not where she needs to be right now. But yeah, so he says to her, I haven't been clear with you. He says, my religion is important to me. Okay, cool, great. I'm happy for you. And he says, if you are, he explains, like, for him, if you're with a woman who is not Muslim, then that woman needs to change religions. Where in the Quran, sir, does it say that? Because if that is the case, then there are a lot of Muslim men who are out here just sinning. I'm serious. Like, really and truly, where does that say that? And thank God for podcasts like I Cray Cray who do the work, because there is nothing in the Quran that says that. So what are you talking about? And maybe this is a cultural, hell, maybe not even cultural. Maybe this is just your family. But say it clear and loud for everyone to hear it in the back, sir. This is not about Islam. This is about you. And the fact that you say this, that you need to be with a woman who is either Muslim or will convert to Islam if it comes to that, then why the fuck are you with Veah? Because if this has ever come up and Veah has said to you, not for me, then why did you continue this relationship with her? What, why? Or why not be with someone who is Muslim? Like, that's a part for me that never fucking makes sense. Are these men who are like, I want a traditional Islamic wife, then go be with one. No one's saying you can't, but no, you don't want that. You really don't. You want your cake and eat it too. But that just is not how it works. Now, I have nothing against Muslim men dating outside of their religion. I have dated Muslim men outside, and I am not Muslim. But I mean, obviously with those relationships, it was whatever. It was, quick little things. Never got to conversations about that, about discussing religion and stuff like that. But I know if it ever got to that point, I was not converting. I'm not converting. So either we figure out a way to make this work as, interreligions, or I'm not the one for you, and that's fine. So it's this pisses me off because I'm not sure if it's Sunny. I mean, I haven't gone through the whole conversation yet. I don't know if it's Sunny that really wants this more than it is his father who wants this. And it's so important for him to please daddy, and because he doesn't want to lose him. and we'll talk about that later. But you cannot lead your life as a 25-year-old man. You are a man, making sure you're pleasing your father first and foremost. Sorry, I just no. Um. So yeah, he says like you would have to change your religion, and she says like or he says if you can't accept my religion is what he says. If you can't accept my religion, um, then we cannot be together. And she's like, but I do accept your religion. He used the wrong terminology. He's basically saying what he should have said is, if you are not willing to convert to my religion, then we cannot be together. Because she accepts your religion. That's not a difficult thing to do, especially if you love someone, to accept their religion. Um, you know, it's not difficult. You know, like just again, I know it's just a different sect of Christianity, but my ex-husband, Seventh-day Adventist, I am not. And I mean, he isn't as religious or actually like follows through on his religion now as an adult. You know, it was more kind of put on him, which I think is a case, I think, a lot of the time with kids. You do what your parents tell you to do, right? Um, but that is how he was raised. He was raised as Seventh-day Adventist. I am not. I accept it. I understand it. And there's certain things that he does do that comes from the religion. For example, he doesn't eat pork. That is part of the religion. There are certain things that he does, but that's something he does. Not everyone in his family does that. It's kind of him who kind of stuck to that part. But kind of everything else, he kind of just didn't. But it's just not as important to him now. But I still accepted it because this is how he believes. At the end of the day, he's a believer, but this is how he believes. And that's fine. I still married him. I accepted it. He accepted me. It's just how it is. And again, I know, again, it's just a different I know it's maybe not as good of an example. It's a different sect of Christianity, but just kind of what, as an example. And again, I said I dated Muslim men too. So it's just like, I can accept your religion. That is easy. But that's not what he's actually saying. Um, but she says that, I do, I just don't want to be Muslim. And she's like, why didn't you tell me this before? Exactly. Very good question to ask. You could have told me this a long time ago, and we could have gone accordingly. Because if this wasn't going to work, then we wouldn't be together. And he says, because I wanted to have faith, I think is what he says. And I said, okay, well, faith isn't gonna do shit. You can't have faith in what? That she's gonna change her mind? Well, would you? How about you? How about if you have faith and you can change your mind and just accept her for who she is while she accepts you for who you are? And you guys can figure it out after that. And he says, Allie and my dad, they were right in what they were saying. And she says, well, wait a second. You say that being Muslim is important to you. Clearly, isn't having sex before marriage bad? You know what, Veah? Good for you. Because yeah, it is. And again, we all pick and choose in religion, okay? I don't think there is a single religion that says it is okay to have premarital sex. Veah's included. Hello. Yeah, you're not supposed to have premarital sex. I did. Don't care. She did. Don't care. We'll be accepted into the pearly gates. We're going to be fine. But in this case, when you're like, oh, it's so important to me, I'm following all I think it's the pillars of Islam. I think it's the right term to use. I might be incorrect in that, but you're following everything else in Islam. But wait, no, he's not. You're having premarital sex. You're drinking, because he does drink, guys. Let's not forget, he does drink as well. But the religion is so important to you. There are people where the religion is maybe not as important to them, who still don't drink. So, I mean, sex is one thing, but they don't drink. So how important is your religion to you? Really? Really? Is this about you, like I said before? Or is this about dad wanting this and expecting this, and you, like a good little boy, have to serve him? So his excuse to this is, I'm human. I'm human. I make human error, and I pray the sins away, which, okay, fine. We all do that, but I'm not over here praying of God, please forgive my sins because I had sex the other day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that. Um, this is me. And at this point, God gets it. So it is what it is. So she says, why is your religion more important than mine? And that's exactly it. I don't have an issue with someone's kind of putting it out there that I would like it if you would convert, but you do what you got to do. But this, especially, it's more, well, both of them really. Well, all three of them, Sonny, Ali, and his dad. The pushing of it, of you have to fuck your religion, and you need to. It does show that my religion is better than yours, and isn't that kind of the not what you do, you shouldn't do in any religion? No religion should be saying I'm better than you. None. And that part, it feels very gross and kind of defeats the purpose of what the religion is supposed to be. Because of the next breath, he kind of like is selling his religion to her. We'll get to that in a second. But she says like, I don't want to cover my hair because trigger. She says, like, I've done that before. And he's like, yeah, but that was wrong at the time. You know, they were making you do it. You're gonna find so much peace from the religion, so peaceful, which I'm not debating that it is or that it isn't. I'm not. But she has put a boundary in place saying, I am not doing it. I don't care how peaceful or not peaceful your religion is. I'm not doing it. And why are you selling it like you're a greasy car salesman? It's disgusting. And what you're not supposed to do, you're not supposed to force someone into converting to your religion. They have to want to willingly convert to Islam. So, what? Don't you know this? Am I incorrect? I know I'm not, because we've heard it many times from other Islamic men on this show. So she says, but you tell me I have to. Why can't we just believe in our separate religions? Why does it have to be like I have to convert? And she's like, I feel like you're forcing religion on me. And he is. Yeah, so he says, my religion has so much peace. But he says, but if you think you will not do it, then I can't be with you. Well, okay, bye. I don't need you. Don't think I need. This is why I, like, ever since I was about 15 or maybe 16, whatever age I was, and I had a religion teacher. We always have that one teacher that kind of sticks in your mind. And this was that teacher. I think it was in grade 11, about 10 or 11, I can't remember. And he says, you never need someone. You want someone. And that always stuck in my head, 15 years later, 15 plus years later. That stuck in my head. And I always say that I don't need you. I want you, which means that I can learn to not want you anymore. So if I can't be with you because religion is a factor, then I don't want to be with you. Fuck that. I don't want to be with you. I'm not going to wait for you to figure it out. I don't want it. I'm going to save my peace and myself and say, I'm good. And we can't be together. He's an asshole. She says, well, our relationship is going to break apart before, break apart because I am not being fucking Muslim. Good for her. Honestly, I'm sorry that she's put a boundary in place. If she wanted to do it, then fine. But she's put a boundary in place saying, I am not doing it. Because again, this comes from a place of religious trauma. She is not going to do it. So, fuck you. And he gets up like a baby and walks away and says that she's being selfish. And I said, I'm sorry, she's being selfish? I'm sorry that a woman putting in a boundary that is supposed to protect her is her being selfish. Because from my viewpoint, the only person here being selfish is you, not her. She says to him in the room, because she goes after him, she's like, you need to communicate. You never told me this before. Like, she's being really good here. She's like, you should have told me this, because maybe that could have changed where we went in this relationship, meaning it wouldn't have gone anywhere. Let's be real. Like, or maybe they could have talked this out. And been on the same page with each other, where they could have been a united front in front of his friend and father. But he didn't even do that. Ridiculous. Anyway, episode 18, they're going exploring. They're exploring a grotto. And here he tells her that I want to be with you. We will be our separate religion. So what was the whole point of this conversation the night before? Beats me, because you're just going to go right back to what you clearly want to do. You clearly don't care. Yourself don't care whether or not she converts. So, then he proposes, y'all. He proposes, and she says yes. And they actually put the ring on the wrong finger. They put it on her right hand, because none of these people know what to do. Anyway, so he kind of mentions that he wants to keep the proposal a secret from his dad for now, because I think he knows his dad isn't going to be happy about this. But Veah kind of says, no, like I kind of want to tell him. I want to be here too when you tell him. I don't think we should hide things. He isn't about it. Here's the thing. I actually would agree with Veah that just to let it all out there. But I think from what we are about to what we witnessed is this man don't give a fuck. And I think Sonny knows this, that he don't give just any fucks for this whole situation. And but I also think it would have been better off doing it this way. I mean, I don't know. Actually, I really don't know because he still has to live there, until the visa comes through. So maybe it would have been better if he held that to close to the chest until he had to dip out and be like, by the way, I actually proposed to Veah when she was here, so now the K1 visa came through, so I'm leaving. Like, maybe that would have been better because his dad is a piece of work. So let's get into that. So episode 19, they are going to be seeing his dad again. And she says, listen, I have a peace offering chocolate cake. I couldn't be mad at someone who was offering me chocolate cake. Plus, chocolate actually releases dopamine into the brain, so you have no choice but to be happy about chocolate cake. Where does she find this useless piece of information? Really? Okay. I mean, maybe there's something to it because I think for people, especially if you do like chocolate, I think for people who are especially like close to their, as women close to the periods, we gravitate to chocolate, and maybe she has a point. I don't know. So they get to the restaurant, milk spills on the floor, and we're like, oh, so this is how this is gonna go. Ain't no use crying over spilt milk, right? Right? Um, so then his dad shows up and he's like, we brought you cake. First of all, does this man look like a man who eats cake? Does this man look like that? Because he don't look like that. And he kind of says that in like the interview with, the crew saying, I'm not happy about seeing her. I don't know why she's here. And then you give me cake for your mistakes? Like, not a man who eats cake. So she apologizes for walking out. She's like, it wasn't your fault. And I'm like, I don't think he thought it was his fault. Which, I mean, kind of was his fault, but even if it was, he don't care. He don't give a fuck. It's whatever. She just says I was uncomfortable and I had to clear my mind for my mental health. And she's like, I have anxiety. Do you know what that is? Do you know what anxiety is? Yeah, no, I don't think he, I think he kind of looks like the kind of person, if you say you have anxiety or you get panic attacks or whatever the hell, he's the kind of person that says, oh, it's all in your head. Seriously. So, because he's an asshole. He's like, well, you know what? It's too late to, and guys, she says, oh, it's too late to apologize. Hey, hey, hey. I'm like, wait a minute, it's a song. He says it's too late. Then he's like, well, the first impression was tainted. And I'm like, yikes. Then the dad says, what do you gotta say, Sonny? What do you gotta say? Now you can talk. What do you gotta say? And he says, I think you should accept her. She's trying to understand our culture. And dad says, well, first of all, he he cracks his knuckles like he's about to punch somebody. And he says, well, let me ask you a question. She's a foreigner. So what is the plan? And he says, well, we will move to America. Or she says, we'll move to America. And then Sonny is like, okay, Dad, I did a thing. We got engaged. And his dad's like, so you're getting married? And they're like, yes, eventually. He's like, no, I don't think so. No. Mm-mm. And he said, you should have told me before. And he asked Veah, like, are you converting then? And obviously we know she's not doing that. And he says, or whatever it is, or she says, like, we decided like we're not going to. He's like, well, it don't work like that. He's like, I don't like this. Like, you have to convert. And he says to Sonny, you have to make her understand. And make her understand what? Question. That's my question. Understand what? He's like, it's not acceptable. And he then says to his son, his flesh and blood, for whom he has already extracted himself from his life for 5 years or more, when he moved to South Africa from Bangladesh. He looks his son straight in the face and says, well, maybe I have to go my own way and you have to go yours. You can go your own way. Just don't come my way. It's like, forget me. Forget me. I'm not in your life. And that's that. And Veah's like, so what, he has to choose between me and you? And he's like, yeah, of course. Like, well, duh, bitch. What is this? His father? Like, I understand if maybe this is cultural. I get that. But his father sucks. He sucks. Oh, God. He sucks. Like, I don't particularly like Sonny. Like I said, he's out for me after that conversation about converting. But I understand now why he is the way he is. Look at the man who raised him. He sucks. So, and he says that she's going to be with me forever. He's like, okay, so don't call me for anything. And he says to Veah, or Sonny says to Veah, this is why I wanted to wait. Which, you didn't have to do this. You could have said to her, listen, I know my dad. This isn't going to go well. Did you see how the last meeting went? Like, this is what you could have done. And maybe you could have been like, I'll tell them when I leave. But don't blame her. Because I was actually starting to get afraid of he's going to blame her. And I'm like, listen, Sonny. And he's like, I needed time. And he goes after him because his dad has left the building. Okay. He goes after him and says, listen, I made a mistake, but I do love her. He's like, yeah, you want to go do that. Like, he's like, yeah, love makes you blind sometimes. And he's like, and you forgot about me. And they're like, we didn't forget about you. And his dad, rude as fuck, says to Veah, better you talk to him and leave me alone. And he's like, stay away from me. And that's that. Dad goes into a truck and he leaves. His dad sucks, man. But Veah's leaving now. It's the next day. Veah's leaving and he's going to try to fix the issues with his dad, which good luck to you. But with that, she is off, and that is it for them for the season. I think it's definitely possible that we could see them again if they're still together. And I mean, based on the preview of what we see, I don't know if they're even together, but we'll see. So that's it for them. Our last couple for this episode, Loren and Faith. Oh God. Okay, so we're going to see a lawyer about getting married. And he's like, listen, I got these ideas. So idea number 1, we get married in Thailand. And the lawyer's like, well, here's the thing. There's actually no law that allows same-sex marriage in Thailand. But he has friends who did it, so what? Now, I think you probably can get married in Thailand, but there's actually a little more to that, and we're gonna get there. So, the lawyer says, well, same-sex marriage is actually valid in Taiwan, so you could go there. But then here's the other problem. Same-sex marriage is, even if you get married in another Asian country, it is not recognized in the Philippines because, as she says, in the Philippines, marriage is recognized between a man and a woman. So, and I was thinking that actually when I'm like, well, wait a minute. If it's not recognized in the Philippines, then how? Because you probably can't come back into the Philippines and be like, I'm married now. They're not gonna give a fuck. They're like, oh, no, you're not. You know, like I was definitely thinking that, and that's exactly what we find out. But she says, the lawyer says, but guess what? Even if it's not, in the or recognized in the Philippines, you can do a K1 visa where the states recognizes it. Um, and Faith is feeling really good about this because she obviously does not want to live in the Philippines. She wants to move to the States. But as we know, Loren has no fucking money, and he's like, no, 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 that's not gonna work. I don't make enough money to sponsor her. Get a fucking job. I'm sorry, you created children and you're trying to get out of paying for those children. You, sir, can kick all of the rocks. Actually, you can go to Mount Rushmore and just start kicking. Okay, kick George Washington in the face. I don't care. Kick. And I hope it hurts. So he's like, yeah, I can't even pay rent. Yeah, because he has to literally couch surf and then have sex with those people. And he says, I don't want to go back to Vegas because again, that means I have to pay for them kids. And he's like, I don't want to go back to my life because again, that means I have to go pay for them kids that I don't even probably have a relationship with. He says this plan is not gonna work. So then we're gonna go later on have a romantic date in a different hotel. Which I don't know how we paid for this hotel. My man went with $46. How does he still have money? Anyway, Faith is feeling good about going all the way with Loren tonight. She's feeling comfortable. Let's do this. So they're sitting at a table and they're going to be eating some cake, drink some beer. But Loren is in a funk, y'all, because he can't stay in the Philippines. And that means he has to go back to his life in, good old US of A. And they kind of start talking about the K1 visa, but we see him again cracking his knuckles while talking about this. And it was like, okay, this is, from that point, I'm like, okay, something's up. And Faith is like, what's the plan? And he's kind of like holding this knife and he's like, playing with the knife, I guess, in a sense, and crushing the beer cans to his head. And the knife, though, I want to focus back on the knife. He's kind of doing like stabbing motions with the knife against the palm of his hand. And honestly, I wasn't even thinking about, because when I saw this originally, like without the context, like when they're showing in the preview, I'm like, oh, she's overreacting. No, she's not. She's not overreacting. Not at all. And just, maybe we'll say trigger warning, just, for violence towards the trans community, because that is going to be brought up. But, so she asks him, like, can you stop doing that with the knife? And he's kind of like, why? Kind of situation, right? And she's not comfortable. And she's like, is that normal? Is like a normal thing that you do? And he's like, yeah, that's normal. We've never seen you do this before. All of a sudden now it's normal. I'm going to have a theory about this in a minute. So she takes the knife. She's like, I don't feel good. So I'm going to take this knife and put it over at the couch, to kind of just get it out of the situation. And she says, I'm sorry, I'm done. And she takes the ring off and she leaves. And when she gets to the elevator and they ask her, like, what's going on? And she says, listen, I'm uncomfortable with what was going on in there. As a trans woman, seeing him do that with the knife, she's visibly upset. Because I do wonder if she's encountered some shit with men. But she says seeing him do that with the knife makes me very scared because I think, as we all know, the violence and death for trans women is at an all-time high. So when she said this, I'm like, oh my God, right. And I'm like, I get it. She is not overreacting. She's normally reacting and getting herself out of that situation. And the thing is, the entire time when she's like saying, I can't do this, any man who truly loved her would have gone after her and said, Loren, or said, Faith, what is going on? I don't understand. I'm like, what is happening? Would have gone after her, where she could have explained herself and he would have been like, oh my God, I am so sorry. Like, this is not about you. I'm sad that we're not going to stay here and everything. Like, you could have explained yourself. Now, I don't want him to do that, mind you, but just saying, any man in that situation would have done different. Y'all, he just sat there and didn't even flinch. And this is why my theory is, like, I hate to kind of go here, but my theory is this man knew what he was doing. He knew, he says it wasn't not intentional. I don't believe him. I think he intentionally did it because he wanted out. He's like, I don't want to be with someone that can't benefit me in staying in the Philippines. So I don't want to be here. I'm going to go home and I'm not going to continue the relationship with her. So that's probably why he did what he did, knowing that it's going to be a problem. So, because she has been alone with him on many occasions, and not once has he done what he just did. He did her service, is what he did. The one good thing he did was what he did to free her from this nonsense. So, in the next episode, episode 18, he explains, I was just fidgeting with the utensil. That's it. Get out of here. He's like, it's her fault that she's afraid of me because I would never hurt her. So we're going to put the blame on her. You say it's your fault for the reason you feel that way. We call that a form of abuse, or potentially can lead to abuse, because isn't it an abusive partner that would say, well, it's your fault that you made me mad? He did her a service. So Loren is leaving, but before he does, he's going to wreck more of Faith's peace. And he tells her, so I'm leaving, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for, gonorrhea. I'm sorry for flirting when I was rejecting somebody. And I'm just sorry for being who I am. That's what he should have said. I'm sorry for me being who I am. And I'm sorry for all of that. And she says, well, it's too late now. It's too late, baby. Now it's too late. Though she really did try to make it, and I don't know why. And she's like, it's over. And I said, thank God. And he's like, well, I guess, like, I just don't want you to see me as a bad person. And I said, too late for that, because I think I knew you were a bad person from before you even reached the Philippines. Just took her a minute to catch up. Like, and now he's fucking off back to the States. And yeah, I think that's it for them. I think that's it for the show, too. Just checking my notes. Yeah, that's it. So, obviously, I think this is it for Loren and Faith. I don't think we're seeing them again. I hope we never see Loren again. There's rumors that he might have gotten married, but I will maybe talk about that in another episode. But yeah, yeah, we're never seeing them again. I hope we never see them again. And based on what we see in the tell-all, it's like this idiot who got gonorrhea goes back to the same woman who gave him the rhea. Are you stupid? Are you like glutton for punishment? This guy, I don't get it. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I already think he's the one that gave it to her. But I'm just like, really? Anyway, that is it for this episode, and that is a wrap on like the regular episodes. We're going to be jumping into the tell-alls soon. So probably won't be getting those right away. Probably get those probably towards the end. I'm not sure we're going to be getting this. So probably the beginning of next week. I think you're getting this Thursday. So you'll be probably I think today's a Thursday. So you're probably getting those towards the beginning of next week at the latest. But the next things we're going to hop into is going to be Last Resort. But as mentioned, and I think I did mention in the beginning of the episode, you are going to be getting a special announcement episode, which I'm not sure if you already got or you're getting after this. I think after this. Yeah, I think you're getting it after this. So look out for that. It's going to be probably releasing at around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. So look out for that. And then you should be getting Last Resort episode following that. So that's basically it for me. Yeah, so that's it. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks.